Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little story. There was once a man who looked around and realized he had no friends. Not a single soul to call on a rainy day. No one to share a coffee with. No one to laugh with, and no one to lean on when life got heavy. Now he could have blamed the world. People just don't understand me, he might have said. Everyone's fake. He could have thrown himself a pity party. And guess what? No one would have shown up to that either. But here's the truth: life doesn't give us friends. It gives us people. And it's what we do that determines who becomes a friend. You want to have a friend? Be friendly. You want to be supported? Be someone worth supporting. The law of sowing and reaping is always in motion. Plant bitterness, you harvest loneliness. Plant kindness, you harvest connection. The man with no friends isn't unlucky, he's uninvolved. He's either built a wall so high no one can climb it, or he's never reached out to anyone else. Friendship isn't found, it's forged. Now, I'm not talking about popularity. I'm not talking about thousands of followers online. I'm talking about real connection. The kind that listens, the kind that lifts, the kind that lasts. And you don't get that by accident. You get it by investment. Here's a question I ask myself often. If I were someone else, would I want to spend time with me? And if the answer is no, then it's time to make some changes, not in the world, but in the mirror. Start with small things. Make a call instead of waiting for one. Compliment someone without expecting anything in return. Be interested in others, not just interesting. Because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And here's the good news: it's never too late. You're one decision away from changing your entire social life. You're one act of generosity, one moment of honesty, one sincere apology away from building something real. So if you're that man or woman with no friends, don't stay there. Don't settle there. Start planting different seeds. Become the kind of person others want to be around, because life is richer with others. And the kind of friend you become will determine the kind of friends you attract. Many people go through life believing that friendships should simply happen, that if they're a good person, or if they wait long enough, someone will come along, see their value, and stick around. But that mindset leads to disappointment, because friendships, just like gardens, don't grow on their own. They are not given freely by the universe, nor are they handed out like gifts. They are built slowly, deliberately, and with care. Every meaningful friendship begins with effort, not grand gestures or impressive speeches, just the willingness to show up consistently. You can't expect deep roots from shallow engagement. You can't expect loyalty when all you've given is convenience. People bond through shared time, shared values, and shared vulnerability. These things don't appear overnight. You don't plant a seed in the ground and expect fruit the next morning. Friendship takes seasons to mature. And here's the catch. Many of us want the benefits of friendship without the cost. We want someone to call us when we're down, support us when we fail, celebrate us when we win. But we haven't done those things for anyone else. We want deep connection, but we avoid the awkward beginnings, the uncertainty of putting ourselves out there, the risk of being rejected. But there's no way around that. All things of value carry risk. A real friendship, the kind that anchors your life, is built by pushing past those early discomforts. Growing a friendship also requires patience. Some people expect instant connection, and when it doesn't happen, they move on. But depth takes time. The strongest friendships are often born from the slow accumulation of trust, not instant chemistry. You don't become best friends after one conversation. You become best friends after 100 little moments, laughing at something silly, helping each other through stress, showing up without being asked. Now, people often ask, where do I even start? And the answer is simple. Start with being present. Show up. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Pay attention when someone talks. Remember their name. Remember their struggle. Ask a question and actually care about the answer. In a world full of distractions and self-interest, giving someone your full attention is rare. and powerful. Also, understand that friendships aren't always even. Sometimes you'll do more giving than receiving. Sometimes you'll be the one holding up the roof. That's part of it. A true friend doesn't keep score, but here's the beautiful thing: over time, it balances out. If both people are invested, both grow. But someone has to take the first step. Someone has to be willing to give first. It's also important to drop the fantasy of the perfect friend. Many people miss out on real, solid relationships because they're looking for someone exactly like them. Same opinions, same hobbies, same outlook. But some of the richest friendships come from contrast. Different perspectives can challenge us, sharpen us, and help us grow. If you're only comfortable with people who agree with you, your world will be very small. Friendships, like any living thing, require maintenance. They need checking in, forgiveness, honesty. When something goes wrong, don't just walk away, talk. Work through it. Because anything that can break without a word was never real to begin with. But if it matters to you, it's worth the effort to repair. And finally, never forget, you don't find good friends, you become one. Be the kind of person who lifts others up, who listens without judgment, who celebrates others' wins without envy. When you become that kind of person, you naturally draw others in, because the world is full of people who are tired of shallow, transactional relationships. What they're craving is something real, and that's not given, it's grown. In life, the principle of sowing and reaping is always at work, whether we acknowledge it or not. It's a law that doesn't care about our intentions, our excuses, or our circumstances. It only responds to what we actually plant. If you plant wheat, you don't get corn. If you plant kindness, you don't get cruelty. If you plant laziness, you don't harvest success. The same rule applies to our relationships, our careers, our health, and our personal growth. What you put in consistently over time is exactly what you will get back. Maybe not immediately, but inevitably. People often look at their lives and wonder why things aren't working out, why they feel alone, why they don't get the respect they crave, why success seems to avoid them. And sometimes the answer is simple: they're harvesting from empty fields. You can't expect to receive what you never gave. You can't expect strong friendships if you never invest time, attention, and care. You can't expect trust if you haven't been trustworthy. You can't expect people to celebrate you if you've never taken the time to encourage someone else. The problem is, many of us want the harvest without the planting. We want the rewards without the responsibility. We admire discipline in others, but we avoid building it in ourselves. We admire someone's strong marriage, their loyal circle of friends, their successful business, their good health. But we don't always see the seeds they planted year after year. The daily acts of showing up, following through, making the harder choice, extending grace, and staying consistent. There's also a tendency to underestimate the time it takes for the seeds to grow. In a world of instant results, people often get discouraged too quickly. They show kindness for a week and feel frustrated when people don't instantly warm up to them. They start working hard at a new goal, and when it doesn't yield quick results, they label it a failure. But a field doesn't grow a crop overnight. Some seeds need time, water, sun, and care before they break the surface. The harvest is slow, but it's certain if the seed is good and the effort is steady. And here's another truth: the harvest always multiplies. You rarely get back exactly what you gave. Often, you get more, good or bad. A single act of generosity can open the door to years of friendship. A single habit of laziness can turn into a life of regret. That's why it matters so much what we sow, even in small ways. A word spoken in anger can sow resentment that lasts years. But a kind word, offered sincerely, can change someone's entire day or life. There is also a season for every kind of sowing. Sometimes we have to plant when we don't feel like it, when we're tired, when we're discouraged. That's the test. Anyone can plant when the sun is shining and motivation is high. But those who reap real rewards are the ones who plant even when the wind is cold and the results feel far away. They understand that the act of sowing is an act of faith. You do it because you believe in the future harvest, even if you can't see it yet. You also can't cheat the process. You can't plant negativity and expect joy. You can't sow dishonesty and expect loyalty. Life doesn't operate on wishes, it responds to actions. Every day, with every word, every choice, every habit, you're planting something. Whether you realize it or not, your future is growing in the soil of today. So if you don't like what you're reaping, the answer is not to curse the field, it's to change the seed. Sow better thoughts, sow better habits, sow better words. Because in time and without fail, life will give back to you exactly what you've been planting all along. There comes a point in every person's life when they must stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. That point is the beginning of maturity, and it starts with personal responsibility. Until you take ownership of your life, your choices, your habits, your reactions, you'll stay stuck. You'll blame others for your lack of progress. You'll make excuses for why things aren't going your way. But nothing changes until you decide to own your role in your own story. Taking personal responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It doesn't mean carrying guilt or shame for things outside your control. What it means is this: you stop giving your power away. You stop handing over the steering wheel of your life to other people, to circumstances, to bad luck. You recognize that while you can't control everything, you are always in control of how you respond, and that response shapes your future. There are people who spend their lives waiting for better conditions, for more support, for someone to save them. But the truth is, no one is coming. No one can live your life for you. No one else can do your push-ups. No one else can build your habits. No one else is going to care about your goals as much as you should. That's not discouraging, it's empowering. Because the moment you take full responsibility, you stop waiting and start moving. Responsibility also means being honest with yourself, not just about what you want, but about what you're doing or not doing to get it. You can't say you want to be healthy and keep eating junk every day. You can't say you want great relationships, but ignore people or treat them poorly. There's a gap between intentions and actions, and personal responsibility closes that gap. It's easy to say, I can't. It's harder to say, won't. But one is an excuse and the other is the truth. Taking responsibility means calling things what they are. If you didn't follow through, own it. If you messed up, fix it. If you failed. Excuses are comfortable, but they never lead to growth. Ownership, on the other hand, is uncomfortable, but it builds strength, character, and eventually success. There's also freedom in responsibility. Some people avoid it because they think it's a burden. But what they don't realize is that personal responsibility is the key to personal power. When you blame others, you become a victim. When you take responsibility, you become a creator. You move from reacting to life to shaping it. You stop being at the mercy of circumstance and start becoming the architect of your future. In relationships, responsibility means admitting when you're wrong. It means choosing your words carefully, controlling your temper, and being reliable. In work, it means showing up on time, doing your best even when no one's watching, and taking pride in your results. In your personal life, it means building the discipline to do what needs to be done, whether it's easy or not. It also means not expecting someone else to give you what you haven't worked for. Entitlement is the enemy of growth. No one owes you anything. That's a hard truth. But once you accept it, you start moving forward. You become grateful for what you have, more motivated to earn what you want. At its core, personal responsibility is a decision. A decision to stop outsourcing your future. A decision to stop making excuses. A decision to say, if it is to be, it's up to me. That mindset changes everything. Because once you take full ownership of your life, the direction of your life becomes yours to shape, and that is where real progress begins. People often wonder why they feel disconnected or overlooked, why others seem to keep their distance, or why they're not surrounded by the kind of company they desire. And while it's easy to blame others, the deeper truth is this: you attract who you are. The kind of energy you put out into the world is often the kind that returns to you. So instead of asking, why don't people want to be around me? A better question is, am I the kind of person others want to be around? That question doesn't call for insecurity. It calls for self-awareness. It invites you to take a look at your habits, your attitude, your energy, and how you treat others. People are drawn to warmth, honesty, encouragement, and positivity. They're drawn to those who listen well, who are genuine, who don't need to dominate the room but know how to uplift it. You don't have to be flashy or extroverted to be magnetic. You just have to be authentic, thoughtful, and kind. Being someone others want to be around starts with how you carry yourself. Do you bring peace or chaos into a room? Do people feel safe being themselves around you? Or do they feel judged, measured? The most loved people are often not the most talented or the most impressive. The most impressive, they're the most consistent. They show up when they say they will. They listen when someone else talks. They remember the little things. They make people feel valued, not just tolerated, and it goes deeper. If you walk around complaining all the time, criticizing others, or needing to prove you're right, you create an environment of tension. Even if you're intelligent or hardworking, that energy wears people down. On the other hand, if you speak with encouragement, if you're honest without being harsh, if you're confident but not arrogant, people naturally gravitate toward you. No one enjoys being around someone who drains the room. They're looking for someone who lifts it. Humility also plays a big role. There's a quiet strength in someone who doesn't need to talk about themselves all the time. Someone who's secure enough to celebrate other people's success. That kind of presence makes people feel safe because they know the conversation doesn't always have to revolve around ego or competition. People crave realness, not perfection. When you're humble, when you admit your mistakes, when you laugh at yourself, you become approachable, relatable, human, and don't underestimate kindness. In a world where people are often rushed, distracted, or self-absorbed, being kind stands out. A smile, a thoughtful word, a sincere compliment, these small acts go a long way. They build trust. They soften hard days. They make you memorable in the best way. And they cost nothing. Being someone others want to be around also means managing your emotional state. We all go through hard times, but if you constantly unload your problems on others without ever showing interest in theirs, the relationship becomes one-sided. Emotional maturity is knowing when to ask for help and when to offer it. It's knowing when to speak and when to simply be there. When people feel that balance with you, they'll want you in their life. This mindset is not about performing or pretending. It's about becoming. It's about growing into someone who adds value wherever they go. Not because they're trying to be liked, but because they've decided to be someone worth knowing. And the beautiful thing is, when you become that kind of person, you don't have to chase friendships. They come to you naturally and authentically, because people can feel the difference between someone who wants attention and someone who genuinely shows up to give. Strong relationships are not built in a day. They're built in small, often unnoticed moments that seem ordinary at the time, but add up to something extraordinary. While many people think meaningful connections require grand gestures or dramatic stories, the truth is that the deepest bonds are usually formed through simple, consistent actions. A message checking in, a smile when someone walks into the room, a thoughtful question, a shared laugh. These things may feel small, but over time they create the foundation of trust, respect, and affection. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. That feeling doesn't come from one big act. It comes from how you show up repeatedly. Being on time, remembering someone's birthday, listening without interrupting, offering help before it's asked for. These things don't take much effort. but they leave a lasting impression. When you consistently show people they matter, they begin to let their guard down. They begin to trust you. And trust is the heart of any meaningful connection. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. You don't need to say the perfect thing or always have the right answer. Sometimes just being there is enough. Sitting with someone during a tough time, even in silence, speaks louder than any speech. Sending a quick message saying, "I thought of you today," might seem minor to you, but to the other person, it could mean the world. In a noisy world, being genuinely attentive is a rare and valuable gift. The small things often reveal your character more than the big ones. Anyone can show up once with a big gesture, but doing the small things consistently shows reliability. It shows that you care, not just when it's convenient, but when no one's watching. Holding the door open, saying thank you, noticing when someone's had a rough day. These are signs that you're aware, that you're present, that you care. Over time, these actions create a sense of safety and appreciation that strengthens the relationship. Sometimes people wait too long to act, thinking they need the right words or the perfect timing. But often, the best time to show someone they matter is right now. A quick compliment, a short note, a kind gesture, they don't require preparation. They just require willingness. People don't expect you to fix all their problems. They just want to know you're with them, that you care, that you see them. Small actions also have a ripple effect. When you consistently treat others with kindness and respect, you inspire them to do the same. Your behavior sets a tone. A simple act of generosity can open up a deeper conversation. A sincere thank you can brighten someone's entire day. A moment of genuine interest can make someone feel valued in a way they haven't felt in a long time. And these ripples continue outward, sometimes reaching people you'll never even meet. In a world where so many relationships feel transactional, where people are often distracted and self-focused, small acts of care stand out. They remind us what it means to be human. They remind us that connection doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be sincere. And when those small acts are repeated over time, they become the story of the relationship. A story built on presence, consistency, and heart. It's easy to underestimate these little things, but they are the building blocks of connection. They might not look like much in the moment, but they are the threads that weave trust, affection, and loyalty. You don't have to do something huge to make someone feel important. You just have to do something consistently, sincerely, and with intention, because it's in the small things that the strongest bonds are formed. Life doesn't come with a perfect timeline. Some people find their path early, and others take the long way around. But no matter how much time has passed, no matter how many mistakes you've made or opportunities you've missed, it's never too late to start. Too many people live in quiet frustration, believing that their best chances are behind them. They tell themselves they've waited too long, that they should have begun years ago, that they're too old, too far behind, or too worn out. But the truth is, the past can't stop you. Only your belief about the past can. Every day you wake up is a new opportunity, a fresh page. And the page doesn't care how messy the ones before it were. What matters is what you decide to write now. You might not be able to go back and fix everything, but you can start from where you are and create something better. You can't change the beginning, but you can change the direction. And direction is what determines the destination. One small choice today can lead to a completely different life 5 years from now. Often what holds people back isn't their actual limitations. It's the story they've told themselves for too long. They say things like, "It's too late for me," and start living as if that were true. But there are people who started businesses in their 60s, who went back to school in their 70s, who repaired broken relationships after years of silence, who took control of their health after decades of neglect. What changed? Not time, mindset. They decided that their future mattered more than their excuses. Starting late is better than not starting at all. Waiting for the perfect moment is a trap. that moment never really comes. There will always be challenges, distractions, and fears. But action breaks through all of that. Once you start moving even a little bit, the fear starts to lose its power. The weight of regret begins to lift. There's nothing more energizing than realizing that you are not stuck. You are just one decision away from momentum. And starting now doesn't mean you have to rush. It just means you commit. You take one step, then another. It could be a small habit, a hard conversation, a class, a walk, a phone call. Progress isn't measured by speed, it's measured by direction. And the beautiful thing is, once you start, time becomes your ally again. What once felt wasted now becomes fuel. The lessons, the pain, the failure, they become wisdom. They become perspective. They become tools for the journey ahead. You also inspire others when you start. People around you, your family, your friends, your children, they notice. They see you getting back up, moving forward, refusing to settle. That alone can spark change in someone else's life. Courage is contagious. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you become a quiet example that change is always possible. No matter the age, no matter the season. So don't waste another day mourning the time that's gone. Use today. Today is powerful. Today can be the beginning of a new chapter. You don't have to know exactly where it will lead. You just have to trust that it's worth beginning. Because every dream that's ever been accomplished, every transformation, every comeback, it all started the moment someone stopped looking back and started moving forward. You can do the same no matter how long it's been. The best time to begin may have been years ago, but the second best time is now.